I want to talk about eagles. First of all, in Lakota ancient tradition, eagles carry the tone of shka in their feathers. Now, let me explain what that is. In the ancient Lakota way, Wakatanka is an organization. There's many people in this organization. But you heard me talking about the Christian brainwashing that happened on the reservation. And because of that, we don't think like our ancestors anymore. Now we think really like Christians. So if you go to the reservation today and you ask somebody, what does Wakatanka mean? 99% of the time, they're going to tell you it means God. See, that's Christian thinking. That's not Lakota thinking. Wakatanka is not God. Wakatanka is an organization, and there's more than one. They all have the same name. But the reason why there's different organizations is because their organizations work in different ways. Now, in the first Wakatanka, there is a member of this organization, and his name is Shkun. When you look up into the sky in the clear day and you see the blue in the sky, that is Shkun. This is a sacred being. The eagles fly the closest to Shkun. Now, everybody has something called tune. This is coming from your soul. You have it too. I have it. We all have it. It's in our hair. It comes through our hands. In the palms of your hands, it comes through. And in the soles of your feet, it comes through there too. Those are the openings of where tune leaves your body and can come in too. So you have to be really careful. That's why in the Lakota way, when you shake hands with somebody you don't know, you do it in a different way where your palms do not meet. There's another way to shake hands where your palms do not meet, and it's still an honorable thing. And when you shake the hands of somebody you trust, then you do it the way you know, because your palms are meeting. So tune from you is going into him, and his tune is going into you through the palms of your hands. It also travels through your eyes. That's why you have to be careful of what you look at and the way you look at somebody. There's rules about that. So, tune, it's an extension of your soul. It has something from you in it. Everything has this. So, when you think about this sacred being that lives way up in the sky, this is not God. We don't have that belief. This is somebody called Shkun. And this is a sacred being. And the eagles fly the closest to Shkun. So that means some of the tune from Shkun gets inside of their feathers. This is why the feathers are sacred. So in our tradition, when you're holding an eagle feather, you have to really be careful. Don't let it fall to the ground. Because if you slip and the feather falls to the ground, that's kind of a bad thing. So you have to do a ceremony to pick it up. That is a really old tradition. And sometimes you see this in powwows today. Men's traditional dancers always wear eagle feathers. Now sometimes the eagle feather will drop. It'll fall off the bustle. It'll fall off onto the ground. And so they have to stop the powwow. There's somebody called an arena director. Somebody tells him, hey, there's a feather dropped. And so the man whose feather that belongs to, that man has to stop dancing. And the arena director stands beside the feather. And then the arena director stops the singing, and then he makes the announcement. He needs 4 veterans, 4 old warriors to come, and they're going to retrieve the eagle feather. So there's a special song for that. They treat it like it's an enemy because it fell. So then they dance towards this eagle feather, and they touch it with their acoustics. And then they turn around and dance back out. They do this 4 times. And then the 4th time, the warrior with the most experience, he picks up the eagle feather. And he decides what to do with it. He can keep it if he wants to. It's his right. So he can keep it if he wants to. But usually they give it back. Yeah, they give it back to the man that it belongs to, and they shake his hands and encourage him. Live good. They don't make him feel bad. They say, live good. So they do this, and they don't want him to feel bad. And normally when this happens, you have to leave. It doesn't matter if you get the feather back or not. If it's your feather, you're done dancing for that weekend. So you pack up your things and you go home. You're done. Unless these warriors ask you to stay. So they might tell the guy, live good and stay, so you can stay. But if they don't say that, you're supposed to go home. Really old tradition. You still kind of see this in some powwows, because it does happen. But here's where the abuse begins. The abuse begins when you have a young guy. He never went to war. He didn't go to university. He doesn't have a job or anything like that. But maybe in his family, they have all these eagle feathers. So he wears them in the bustle. He starts dancing men's traditional. This is an abuse because you're only supposed to wear the eagle feathers that you earn by doing something good for the people. Not your family, but for all the people in your nation. They give you an eagle feather because you earned it. Then that's what you can wear. But when you see these men's traditional dancers that got about 70 eagle feathers on their bustles, most of the time these guys, they're not even veterans and they didn't even earn it. But they're wearing it because maybe they bought it. See, that's an abuse. That's an abuse of the eagle. In Lakota country, in the early 1990s, there was a young guy. He was about 14 years old. He's a traditional dancer. And he wanted to be in the grand entry. He is a traditional dancer. But he wanted to be in the grand entry, but he didn't have his regalia. He came to the powwow to snag. And then he realized that he would increase his chances of snagging if he danced. So he talked another guy into letting him use his dance regalia. Now that's irresponsible right there. In our tradition, you're not supposed to do that. So that's already a bad sign. So he talked the guy into letting him wear his powwow regalia, and then he went to the grand entry, and this bustle probably had about 60 eagle feathers. These are eagle feathers. He came dancing into the arena, and guess what happens? The entire bustle fell to the floor. That's unheard of. Normally, one feather will fall out. He was irresponsible. He was just trying to look good for the teenage girls that were there. See? He's a vain man, vain young guy. But most teenagers are vain. But he wasn't responsible. So he didn't fasten that belt on good. So by the time he made it out to the arena, all those feathers fell on the ground. 60 eagle feathers fell on the ground. People were shocked. that thought some people were going to have a heart attack. They never saw anything like that in their life. That's really, 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 really bad. That's not a good thing at all. That's really, really bad. So they had to call some veterans. One of them was a World War II veteran, and this old man was crying because he never saw anything so bad in his life. He was in Berlin when Nazi Germany fell, and he said on the microphone that he thought the worst time he ever felt in his life was when he was in Berlin, Germany, when Nazi Germany fell. He said that was the most difficult time in his life until that day. He said, this is really a bad thing. When 60 eagle feathers fall on the ground at the same time, this is not good. And he was crying when he said that. So they did the ceremony to pick up this bustle. There were people crying. That shows you how serious the old people see eagle feathers. And this story also shows you how the young people really disrespect the eagle feathers. It shows you how they don't believe this. To them, this is just to look good, to impress the young women. That's what it is to the young men. This is why, in my opinion, there should not be young men's traditional dancing. That shouldn't even exist. That should only be for old people, because they're the only ones that understand what this means. Not all young people understand this. There are some who do, okay? But a lot of young people don't. They only want the eagle feathers because it's a way for them to show off. This is vanity. And that's really, really an unhealthy communication. And it's really disrespecting the Eagle Nation. Now, recently there was another story where 15 people, some of them were non-native, but most of them were Lakota. They went out and killed over 250 eagles, and they sold them to powwow people and art collectors. This is against the law in America. Now, Native Americans, we have a special permission from the United States, but it's only for us spiritual people. But what these guys did was they went out hunting for them, and they killed over 250 eagles in a very short period of time and just chopped them up like a factory and sold the eagle parts to people who paid a lot of money for it. That is a gross violation of the eagles. Now remember that story that I told you, the race around the Black Hills. Remember at the end of that story it says that if the humans abuse this responsibility or neglect this responsibility, then the agreement is over. And the bird said, we'll lead the attack. Now you think about that. The next virus that comes, think about that. That's going to come all over the world really fast. And it's going to take a lot of people. A lot of humans are going to die around the world. This story has been in their culture for thousands of years. So we have to be more respectful, yeah? We have to be more mindful of the animals. We take care of them. We love them. If we're going to take one for food, we have to thank that animal nation. If somebody comes to you who's hungry, you feed them. That's the way it is. That's respect. That's responsibility. Now remember, you're only supposed to wear the eagle feathers that you earn by doing something good for the people. Not your family, but for all the people in your nation. They give you an eagle feather because you earned it. Then that's what you can wear.
And the same thing is true for wearing a headdress that's made out of eagle feathers. You don't just put a complete headdress on somebody who has not even earned one eagle feather.
That's respect.
Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this video. I really appreciate it. And if you would like to send a special thanks in support of this channel, look at the bottom of this video where the title is, and right under that, where it says like, dislike, and share, right in that area, slide it towards the left, and you will see the symbols change, and then you will see a heart-shaped button that says thanks on it. If you would like to click on there to send your thanks of support, I would really appreciate it, as I really do enjoy making these videos and speaking with you and spending some time with you. And all I ask is that you take the time to think about the message and come up with your own ideas. So again, thank you very much for listening. To learn more about Lakota spirituality, I have written a book called Wichocha Otechike. This book also includes Lakota star knowledge information. All the videos that I make, which are about Lakota spirituality, Lakota star knowledge, and cultural information, are based on this book. This book costs 99 American dollars. This price includes the shipping cost as well as a tracking number. And to learn more about Lakota language, I have written a Lakota language book called Chante Etanha Owoglake, Speaking from the Heart. And all my Lakota language videos are based on this book. This book costs 119 American dollars. This price includes the shipping cost as well as a tracking number. I also teach online, and I give spiritual consultations as well. If you are interested in any of my services and products, you can send payment via PayPal to my email address, which is hehaka7@yahoo.com. That's HEHAKA, the number 7@yahoo.com. When you send your payment, please include your shipping address and your email address. Ho, Lila Pilamayelo. Thank you very much. And I will catch you in the next video. In the Lakota way, everything is circular. As a result, we do not have a word for goodbye in the Lakota language. And so instead we say until next time, which in Lakota is Doksha Ake.